a close-knit neighborhood in the East Flatbush section of Brooklyn. And the block that we grew up on was my entire world. My sisters and I all had friends that were around our same ages. All of the parents on my block were cordial, if not friendly, with one another. And like most close-knit neighborhoods, people endeavor to know what their neighbors are like or what they're about. And they would find out through observation, maybe actually conversing with them, and well, gossip often. Now, most of the people in my neighborhood had immigrated from English-speaking countries in the Caribbean. My parents were the exception. My mom and dad had immigrated from the Dominican Republic and Haiti, respectively. And so we were known as that family where the mom and grandma spoke Spanish, the dad wore suits to work every day, spoke English, Spanish, and French, and the kids spoke Spanish and English. Now, there was a lot of pride in their countries of origin that was pervasive in our neighborhood, but what was also pervasive was the drive towards assimilation. And naturally, coming from a place where you're fully speaking English gives you an advantage in that regard. Now, I would get confirmation that our multilingual status was the subject of gossip when I went to my friend's house that lived directly across the street. Her mother was from Georgia and her dad was from Jamaica. So there was one evening she was preparing tacos for dinner, and I said, "Oh, I've never had tacos." And she looked at me with this shocked expression on her face, and she said, "How come you never ate tacos? Ain't y'all Spanish?" And I thought, I was 7 or 8 at the time, and I thought, okay, well, there's no point in me trying to explain to an adult that not all Spanish-speaking people come from the same place, and we don't all eat tacos. Now, this was back in the 70s when there was only maybe 12 or 13 channels on the TV, and one of them was a Spanish language channel. And apparently my friend and her 2 brothers had happened upon that channel and listened to a commercial for a brand of rice called Vita Gross. And often when I went to visit, they would sing the jingle to me over and over again. And they'd laugh and laugh. And I guess it was funny to them, but I didn't get the joke. And what I started to realize was that our speaking Spanish just wasn't a source of gossip. It was actually something that they felt warranted ridicule. And I didn't get them because to me, I thought speaking another language was a positive thing. I mean, I knew that. And yet, throughout my life, I almost never spoke Spanish outside of the home with my mom and my grandmother, or when I went with them to an appointment. You see, for me, Spanish was my mother tongue, literally and figuratively. It was something sort of personal, almost private, something not to be shared with just any old body. So much so that I would only speak it out in the world if I encountered a Spanish-speaking person who had no English and needed assistance. I also fairly often would be a fly on the wall or spy on the wall in spaces where everyone spoke Spanish. And you'd be surprised to find the things that people would say when they don't know that you understand every single word they're saying. So, moving into my early 40s, I decided to consider utilizing my bilingual skills. I had left a job in accounting, and I was determined to leave the field for good. So I decided to go back and become educated to become a professional interpreter. I got my master's in bilingual bicultural studies with an emphasis on interpretation right here in Philly at LaSalle University. And I have been working as a professional interpreter for approximately 13 years. And on a given day, I may start out interpreting for a couple during a divorce proceeding and end the day interpreting for a patient who's undergoing a sleep study. And it is work that I love. I get a sense of gratification that, to me, only comes from helping your fellow human being. And so now I don't encounter much gossip, but I do encounter worried looks on the faces of the people that I come to assist. And those worried looks change into smiles when I come up to them and say, "Hola, me llamo Viñet, soy su intérprete. Estoy aquí para ayudarla." Or, "Hello, I'm Vignette. I'm your interpreter, and I'm here to help you." Thank you.